Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive. We're coasting into spring here. I can feel it. Can you feel it? A little bit warmer temperatures. Some, well, in LA, we've got buds sprouting and so beautiful. So yeah, and I'm actually on my way up to prison. So you've possibly heard my podcast in the past about prison. I'm going today up to maximum security prison to volunteer for 2 days. I'm not staying there. I visit on a daily basis. They make us give our phones, away or put them in our car or whatever, and we can't take them in with us. And it's just a great experience. I'm really excited. This is my third time going. So yeah, so I want to share with you today 5 lies that will keep you fat forever. And I'm going to hit you between the eyes here, okay? Because super, super important that we face these untruths or these lies, if that's what we want to call them. And fact is, our minds lie to us. So that's a really important thing to know. And it's important that we don't debunk these lies, okay? If you are not part of the Secret Sauce group, I have to say, join us now. Go to the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating Now in Facebook, okay? It's a private group in Facebook, and you just type in the search, the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating Now, and join us. We'd love to have you. And if you're there now, please comment and say, hey, I would so appreciate it. And if you're watching later, please comment as well. So on with the show, 5 lies that will keep you fat forever. Now, I was thinking about this because, I had a coaching call with my clients every week. We have a really powerful call. And if you're one of my clients, you know all about it. God, they just keep getting juicier. I have women in my program who are just they are on fire for this stuff. They are on fire to change their lives and on fire to finally break the habit of emotional eating. They're done with diets. They're done with farting around with this thing, the up and down on the scale, the yo-yo dieting, the fast, all the shenanigans with food. They're ready to finally address and heal the root cause and to face emotional eating. So, on our call, the last call we had, there were some myths I had to bust, okay? And this is where the coaching comes in. This is where being coached is so important. A lot of people, just try to do it themselves. And unfortunately, they continue to lie to themselves. And that's why I wanted to do this show today, because if you continue to lie to yourself, you're going to continue to fail. Okay, so I want to share the 5 top lies that will keep you in eternal food hell. Okay, and I want to just bring these to light because it's really, really, really important. So the first lie, okay, that'll keep you fat forever is nothing will work for me. I've tried everything and nothing works. I failed at everything. Okay, so if you're telling yourself, if you ever find yourself saying, this won't work for me. And people are so, oftentimes come to me and they want to do my program, but they've got that doubt, that self-doubt that just says everything else I've tried has failed. Like I'm afraid to hope, they feel hopeless. They feel like, everything I've tried failed, they lost weight and then they put it back on again, or they lost weight or they stopped overeating and they didn't lose weight. That happens too. Or they've been working out, going crazy at the gym and it's made no difference. Okay. And so they're afraid to hope. They're afraid to hope they can lose weight. And I really want to speak to this because it's a lie, okay? The fact that you have not succeeded in the past with losing weight and keeping it off, okay? Losing weight's one thing. Keeping it off and making it sustainable weight loss, that's a whole other thing. And that's really what I show women how to do in my program because, diets, anybody can limit their food intake to a very small amount or exercise like crazy or get Jillian Michaels to yell at them so they work out and sweat, and lose weight. We can all do that. But in terms of having a sane and sustainable way to lose weight and keep it off, that's a whole nother story. Okay. And so what I want to talk to you about is really approaching it from a new way. The reason why you've failed in the past is not because you're a failure, okay, or there's something wrong with you, or you're a loser. The reason why is 9 times out of 10 is because it was a physical approach. You're approaching it from the weight loss standpoint, trying to lose weight, trying to eat less and exercise more, okay? And that plan will not work if you're an emotional eater. It can work for just a regular person who ate too much on a cruise, okay? But if you are an emotional eater, if you're someone who loses control from time to time with your food intake, you know, if you go down the rabbit hole of binging, you know, or binging and purging, or binging and starving, or binging and then binging some more, you know, you're an emotional eater, and any kind of plan that's physically based on just trying to get the weight off will not work for you. So if that's what you've done, I mean, take a good look at it. If you feel like a failure because the things you've tried haven't worked, are the things you've tried physically minded? Are they things that had to do with changing your body, okay, or your body composition, or the calories that went into your body, or the amount that you're exercising your body? If they're physically based, they will not work for an emotional eater, because you will emotionally eat, and it won't matter what you do, you know, physically speaking. It doesn't matter how much, you know, calorie counting you do, or how much exercising you do. If late at night, you know, you're sitting down with a bowl of cereal or a bowl of popcorn in front of the TV, and then you're going back for more, or you got to get something sweet, or you got to get something salty to offset the sweet, guess what? You will not lose weight. That emotionally, you know, driven eating is going to get you every time. And so you're not a failure because the diets you've tried, or the programs you've paid for, or the promises you've made to your spouse that you're going to do things different this time. You know, you're not a failure because those didn't work for you. They weren't designed to work for you. If you are an emotional eater, which is what most people miss, okay, most programs miss. They're just they're doing calories in, calories out, or some kind of, you know, hack of your body. It won't work, okay? And this is what I'm here to say, is that there's a loophole. There's a loophole where if you think you're hopeless, if you think nothing works and won't work for you, or nothing will work for you, I'm here to say that's not true. What you've been doing is barking up the wrong tree, okay? So if you address and heal emotional eating, that plan will work for you. Okay. That's what my clients are doing. They're like, enough diets. I'm going to go deeper on this thing, and I'm going to deal with why I'm compelled to eat in the first place, why I'm driven to the refrigerator, why I can't keep my hand out of the candy jar or the cookie jar, you know, because when you address emotional eating, then the weight loss is automatic. Okay. You don't have to do another diet. You don't have to do another program that's going to fix your food. You got to address and heal emotional eating. That's it. Pure and simple. But that's great news, because you are not hopeless. That's what that message is you are not hopeless. But if you keep thinking you're hopeless, yeah, you're probably not going to lose weight and keep it off. Or if you keep doing things that are physically driven or focused, yeah, you're not going to lose the weight. If you're an emotional eater, you won't lose the weight. If you do lose the weight, you'll put it back on. 98% of all diets fail. So I'm not making this stuff up or being mean. Okay. So that's number one. That's the first lie, that nothing will work for you and that you're a failure. Okay. That's lie number one. Lie number two is, and I hear this a lot, losing weight takes a lot of work and it's too hard. Okay. And you may not say that, but I can bet you're thinking it. If you've been at this thing for any length of time, for a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades, or some people, you know, tuning in might have done it for 4 or 5 decades. Okay. I talked to a big range of women out there. So if you have been at the diet and the weight loss and the food and the weight struggle for any length of time, guess what? You know, you have somewhere in the back of your mind that it's hard, you know, it's hard, or like I said, it won't work for you. And I will agree with you on this one to a degree. Okay. It's not a lie to say it's too hard. Weight loss is too hard. I agree with you. Weight loss is too hard if you're trying to lose weight. So the lie is that losing weight or experiencing weight loss is hard. It's hard if you're trying to lose weight. It's not hard if you're taking a different route. Okay. And this is to my point that I just made, is that weight loss straight up is hard. And it's in fact impossible if you're an emotional eater. So weight loss is hard. It's like you got to suit up. You got to go to the gym when you don't want to. You got to jog, 5 miles when you don't want to. You got to lift weights when you don't want to. You got to eat salads when you don't want to. You got to stay away from those candy bars, even though you want to eat the candy bars. There's a lot of grit involved in losing weight. And so from that standpoint, weight loss is hard, but the reason why this is a lie is the reason why the thought losing weight takes a lot of work or is too hard is a lie, is because you can lose weight without trying. Okay. And this is the good news I have to share with you, is you can lose weight without trying, where it doesn't have to be hard. Weight loss does not have to be hard. If you're doing it and you're focused on the weight and losing the weight, too hard, no question. I don't want any part of that deal. I don't want to do it. I don't have it in me. I don't have the willpower. I don't have the ability to just push that candy jar away or that bowl of popcorn away. However, if I am abandoning any weight loss effort and I'm going deeper and I'm taking a new tack, which is to address the underlying causes and focusing on self-care instead of self-control, piece of cake, easy peasy. Not that it's always going to be a walk in the park, but definitely trying to lose weight, too hard for me. I don't have it in me. Addressing and healing the underlying causes, the reasons why I eat in the first place, much easier. I'm not saying it's easy and like you're going to hop, skip, and jump through it, but the women in my program, they're learning a new way that isn't focused on weight loss, and yet they're losing weight because they're not overeating. They're addressing emotional eating. And, it's not always, a straight line. They might stumble here and there as they're getting used to this new system. But the system is entirely not focused on weight loss. And so the weight loss is a byproduct of their self-care habits, of learning how to take care of themselves in a better way, learning how to stand up for themselves, learning how to speak up for themselves. All these things that have nothing to do with food and weight are actually resulting in weight loss. So yes, weight loss direct, very hard. Experiencing weight loss on account of taking a new tack, of addressing and healing the underlying causes, so much easier. So lie number 3 is I can't possibly live without sugar or flour. Okay. And I'm not saying you got to stop eating sugar or flour. I will say that those things are big culprits for emotional eaters, and we tend to be carb addicts, sugar and carb addicts. Okay. So if you can't handle your carbs, if you can't handle eating a little bit of sugar, you tend to go overboard, and you're trying to stop those things. The reason why you think you can't live without those things is because you're emotionally dependent on those things. So just quitting sugar, very hard, okay? Just cutting out bread, and flour products, very hard if you still want them, okay? So I'm here to tell you that it's a lie to say you can't live without those things. If you're willing to go deeper, if you're willing to finally heal emotional eating. So if you heal that emotional that emotional connection that you have with those foods, that impulse that you have inside of you to reach for those things, grab those things, overeat those things, if you heal that, then you can live without sugar and flour without it driving you nuts. Okay. And I know what it's like to be driven nuts by not eating sugar. In the old days, I would just quit these things, sugar and flour, and I would crawl the walls. Because I just, I could do it for a little bit, and then I'd just be just dying to eat something. And I'd fantasize about hot fudge sundae, or I'd fantasize about my favorite candy bar, or, whatever item it was, because there was this kind of spring in my gut that was getting tighter and tighter and tighter. as I stayed off of these foods, to where it finally just popped and I had to have my food, had to have my sugar and flour, my sugar and carbs. Okay. And if you get that spring in your gut, if you experience that, I know what that is. And I'm telling you, there's a solution for it, to where you can be free from any foods that trigger you, whether it's sugar or carbs or high fat foods or whatever, chemicals, things from 7-Eleven, whatever. If you are drawn to those things and you feel like you can't possibly live without them, chocolate, for instance, I'm here to say that you can, if you get rid of the gut to. So get rid of the gut to, then it's a piece of cake, pardon the pun. All right. And so that is a lie, therefore, that you can't live without those things. You can actually be peaceful without having those things. You can live in perfect neutrality and peace without ever eating sugar or flour if you go deeper and address the emotional eating, okay, and the driving causes of it, the driving emotions. Then it's not an issue. So it's just that people always think, I can't live without that stuff, because in truth, they feel like they have to have it. And they do, for emotional reasons. But if you take care of yourself and your emotions in another way, then you don't need that food anymore. Okay. And you might be thinking, yeah, but I want it. Well, let's see. Take away your need for it, and maybe you won't want it, right? That's the difference, is that if you truly don't need it and you don't have that emotional gut to, it's sort of like, why aren't you eating, what is it, like dog tails right now? Like, why aren't you eating dog tails? Come on, why aren't you eating dog tails? And you're like, well, I don't really want to eat dog tails. That's gross. Right. The point is, you don't have an emotional, you don't perceive that dog tails are gonna, I know it's gross, but you don't perceive dog tails are gonna like give you that sense of satisfaction and fix. And so you're not even thinking about dog tails. So imagine if sugar and carbs weren't giving, you didn't have to have that emotional fix. You might not even think about them. Okay. Might not be totally the same neutrality as you have with dog tails, but you get my point. So lie number 3, or no, we did lie number 3. I'll just give you the first 3 so far, is that nothing will work for me. I've failed at everything I've tried. That's lie number 1. Lie number 2, losing weight takes a lot of work and is too hard. Lie number 3, I can't possibly live without sugar or flour. Okay, these are the lies that will keep you fat forever. Lie number 4 is I'm too busy to meditate, or fill in the blank, or to fix healthy foods, or to exercise, or to whatever. I'm too busy. This is clearly a lie. And I have to tell my clients sometimes, I got to call them on the carpet. They're like, oh, I couldn't do whatever. I couldn't do some form of self-care because I didn't have time, or I was traveling, and my clients know, I'll bust them on that. Like, no, you actually had a choice, and you chose to blow it off. And so bottom line is, when it becomes important enough to you, you won't blow it off. When you know that, meditating is so powerful and will actually help reduce your need for excess food, you'll do it. Like if like not overeating is important enough to you, you'll find time to meditate. Okay. If you realize how triggering it is to be always eating out, or to always be eating it from, grabbing things on the run, if you feel good enough about yourself to actually cook at home, you'll find the time to do it. Somebody once said to me, we always find the time to do the things we deem important. Okay. We always find the time to do the things we deem important. Everybody on this planet has 24 hours in a day to do with as he or she pleases, right? If you live in a free country. So, and you're free. So the bottom line is, we all have time, and we fill our 24 hours with certain things. And sure, we have to work. Sure, we have to take care of other people if that's part of our, our lives are set up. But there's a lot of stuff we do because that's what we choose to do, that we have a choice to do otherwise. Okay. think about all the time you waste on Facebook, or think, not watching the show, it's not what I'm talking about, but think of all the time you waste, watching TV. Think about the time you waste, just looking at stupid stuff on the internet. I mean, think about the time you waste obsessing about food, for instance. We always find time to do the things that are most important to us. And so, yes, you have time for self-care. Yes, you do. It's just that you haven't seen the connection between the self-care and reaching your goals, or perhaps reaching your goals. Maybe you don't believe you can reach them, like I talked about at the beginning, that nothing will actually work for you, so why bother? Well, I'm here to tell you there is a way, and something that will work for you. So next step is to decide how important it is to you and whether it's worth your time. And if my clients, pay me to be a part of my program, and then they don't find the time to do self-care, I have to say, when you said you wanted to lose weight, when you said you wanted a peaceful relationship with food, were you serious, or were you just kidding around? We have to follow what we say with right action. And I'm talking about exercising and controlling food. I'm talking about things that will really enable you to have peace around food. And that's definitely self-care, definitely prayer, meditation, things of the heart and the spirit, for sure. But also physical things like cooking for yourself, or going shopping at the farmer's market, or going to a health food store and paying a little extra for health food, healthy organic food. It's, what are you spending your money on? Are you buying mochas at Starbucks? Are you serious, or just kidding around? Money is a place where a lot of people say they want something, and then they don't, follow it up with action. I recently had a friend who's kind of broke, and yet goes to Starbucks and spends $4 to $6 a day on some special drink, and I said, you complain about money, but what are you doing? You're giving all your money to Starbucks. Like you serious? You just kidding around. So if you're serious about losing weight, if you're serious about having a healthier relationship with food, or just having a healthier body, yet you don't have the time to prepare healthy meals, you're not really following that up with action. So you're not too busy to do things. You just don't think it's important enough, or you haven't made a decision that's truly important for you to actually be healthy. But again, just eating a healthy meal, when you still get that gut to, that's going to be problematic. And I'm here to say that you can actually heal that gut too. So I'm just going to remind you of that. Myth number 5. Okay. These are 5 lies that will keep you fat forever. It's almost a tongue twister. Number 5 is I overeat because of things that happened to me. So much of the time people are like, what is it? What's that one thing? Or people interview me on TV and they're like, Tricia, what's the main thing that causes people to emotionally eat? And as if there's one thing, or it's some form of abuse from our past. And I'm here to say that there isn't just one thing, and it isn't because of your past that you overeat, okay? And you don't need 20 years of therapy to deal with the underlying causes. I've done the work for you. I've identified 24 personality traits. I call it the anatomy of the emotional eater. I've identified 24 personality traits they're the primary traits that drive overeating. Okay, now these traits are things that might have roots from our past, our abusive past, our traumatic past. A lot of emotional eaters have had trauma. I did as well. I had sexual abuse in my past. I had other things that weren't horrible, but it's certainly dysfunctional in my family. And the bottom line is I adopted personality traits at that time that were life-saving. Like they saved my life at the time. I was coping. Like I was sitting there in that environment and I had to get by. And so I chose to live in certain ways that got me praise, that got me attention, that got me love, or some form of love that I was seeking. And that was survival. So yes, our past does form our present and our future if we don't make changes. But the bottom line is whatever saved our lives in the past, when we grow up and we keep using those traits in our adult life, they become liabilities and personality traits that are our downfall. They're causing us to eat. They're causing us to have cravings. So the bottom line is you don't have to have 20 years of therapy and go delving around your past and dealing with all your shit, basically. Okay. And that's what people think when I say underlying causes. They're like, oh, Lordy, let me go sign up for, a decade of therapy. And I'm telling you, I've done the work for you. I've done the research. And I'm not saying you shouldn't go to therapy, that could be very helpful for you in your journey. But the truth is that these 24 personality traits that I've outlined and that I teach about in my programs, when people start addressing those things, immediately they have a different experience with food. So it doesn't have to be this slog through your past history. The fact is, you can just deal with your present and the way you operate now, which has roots in the past, but we just deal with the here and now. What's going on now, and why isn't it working for us? Why is it causing us to overeat? We fix that. Boom, we're on our way and we're no longer compelled to eat. So even though it is a lie to say, I overeat because of things that happened to me in the past, it's really because of our reactions to things that happened to our past. And if we have a new way of operating in our present, we can heal emotional eating. Okay. And it no longer has to be about your past. It no longer has to be about trauma. And there's never just one thing. Okay. So what happened is, from the trauma I had from my past, I became a certain way and I had certain beliefs, and then I operated from those beliefs, and it spawns all different kinds of actions and reactions in my life. And so it's never just one thing. Wouldn't it be nice if you just carve out that one problem or deal with that one issue and you are set for life, no more overeating? Not my experience. It sort of spiders into these different coping mechanisms and these different ways of showing up, like people pleasing and caretaking and stuffing our feelings and never saying boo, for fear of what people might say or how they might react, and overworking and trying to be a hero in our kids' lives or, at work, or, it goes on and on and on, the ways that we operate in the world that directly affect how much we're eating. I promise you, your cravings for sugar and carbs coming so much out of these personality traits. So it would behoove you to deal with those things, right? But you don't have to go looking for that one cause, because unfortunately there's a few more than just one, but they can be dealt with in the here and now, and you can break free in the here and now. So that's the good news. So these are 5 lies that will keep you fat forever. If you turn this ship around by facing these lies, which you can, and that's what I'm here for, I promise you can have a new experience with food and weight. Okay. You can lose weight without trying, without focusing on weight. You can have so much more joy in your life. You can have freedom around food where you feel neutral, where you don't feel compelled. These 5 lies: nothing will work for me. I failed at everything I've tried. Not true. Losing weight takes a lot of work. It's too hard. Not true. It is if you're doing it the old way. Do it the new way. So much different. I can't possibly live without sugar or carbs. Not true. If you get rid of the got to, you're golden. I'm too busy to meditate or fix healthy food or exercise or anything that's healthy for me. No, it's just you haven't seen the connection between self-care and healing emotional eating. And truth is, you haven't been willing to do what it takes, and that's probably because you're just going at it at the physical level. It's so much easier if you have an integrated approach. The last one is I overeat because of things that happened to me in the past. And I think you've just heard me say that's not true, because it isn't just one thing. It's a way of being, a way of responding to trauma in the past, a way of coping as a child that spawns all kinds of personality traits that just get really mucky and messy. And so we got to, really sort those out and heal them. And that's absolutely what people are doing in my program. And it's possible, it's just, the old way doesn't work. I invite you to try a new way, and that's to address emotional eating, address the underlying causes, and never diet again. Okay, so please comment in the Secret Sauce group if this resonates for you. Or if you're in one of my programs and you've gotten, help from it, share the joy, share that with other people so they can see that this works and that they too can have a new experience with food and weight. So thank you so much for tuning in. I so appreciate you. And if you are not sure by the end of this show, if you're an emotional eater, there is a quiz on my website. Just go to that quiz. It'll tell you if you're an emotional eater or a food addict or somewhere in between. So get your personalized score by going to healyourhunger.com. And that's also where you can find this show as well if you want to watch the video version. So sending you so much love. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next show. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.